Ladies and gentlemen, this will make a lot of things make sense that you thought was kinda weird why they promote so many things of the gangster group. Anti-LGBT protester attack pro-LGBT demonstrator outside of Glendale, California school board meeting. The school board is voting and recognizing June as a Pride Month. And then this guy said, they should leave little children alone. That's the real issue. Then Call of Duty responded, due to recent events, we have removed Nick Mer's operator bundle from the Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone store. We are focused on celebrating Pride with our employees and our community. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is that easy. The fact that you just say, leave the children alone, which was maybe normal 3 or 4 years ago, now it's a bad thing. And when I say, so you're teaching them? No, we're not teaching that alone at school. So I'm like, what are you saying? It's so confusing. But are they confusing me? Or are they trying to make sure I don't know the specific things? But people start realizing with all the thing that was happening with all this beer stuff and the cancellation and Target, people were like, hey, we are actually the majority. We can affect the stocks of these people. But still, they keep promoting it.
You don't know the news. Yesterday, it just blew my mind. That Call of Duty, Activision made the decision to pull Nick Merckx's skin bundle off the game. And he worked hard, years and years, built a nice community. He's a great representation. That's a tough one, man. For what again? So what I gotta do is uninstall the game. Number one, they either need to apologize publicly to him or reinstate his bundle in order for me to consider playing Call of Duty again. That's where I'm at.
Well, to understand that, you need to understand ESG. Then you would understand why they promote certain things.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things. Did you guys hear about what the Oscars Academy just announced 3 weeks ago and what it takes to be nominated for an Oscar moving forward? Have you guys heard about this or no?
No.
So Hollywood just came out and announced that moving forward, to be nominated for an Academy, you have to have your leading role on any movie. A percentage of it has to be from a underrepresented community. The actors have to be part of a underrepresented community. The workers behind camera have to be part of a third has to be part of a underrepresented community. The editors, the shredders, the camera guys, a third have to be part of underrepresented communities. You can Google this and show it, or else you cannot be nominated.
Wow.
And then they broke down what it means to be part of the underrepresented community. If you want to know what those 6 things are to be part of the underrepresented community, here's how they define it, to be part of the underrepresented community, okay? Number 1 is women, people of color, LGBTQ+, people with disabilities, people from low-income communities, people from rural areas, and people of indigenous heritage. What? If you are that and you have a third of it in some of the categories, then you can be nominated for a Oscar. Let me explain to who does not qualify if this were to ever happen. And pretty much 99% of movies that ever won an Oscar would not be able to qualify today to do this. Here's a part that people don't realize that's going on in Hollywood. Do you guys know why all the creative actors escaped to go to Hollywood? Like, do you know where they escaped from to end up going to Hollywood? Jersey. Why Jersey? Hollywood used to be in Jersey. Why?
Really?
Because Thomas Edison was in Jersey. So if you go type in Thomas Edison, New Jersey, Hollywood, you'll see. The reason why they left Jersey and Thomas Edison, because it was so regulated that he said, you have to make movies based on my guidelines or else. Finally, these guys are like, screw this place. We're going to Hollywood. So to go to Hollywood, in 1920, all the major motion pictures movies that were made, 95% of all the major motion picture movies were made in Hollywood. You know what that number is today? 55 million. 4 years ago, do you know how many people watched the Oscars in America? 44 million. You know how many people watched the Oscars this year? 18.7 million. The 3 worst years of watching the Oscars in the last 20 years were the last 3 years.
So in other words, all this diversity and equity and inclusion, they're losing money. Why would they even promote it? Like, well, if you don't do this, we're not gonna promote your movie. Then I'm like, you just lost money and you're gonna promote it more? Who's funding you?
People are done. Today I want to watch a movie with Sebastian Maniscalco and Robert De Niro. It's a new movie about a father, all this other stuff. Right off the bat, the movie starts with an LGBTQ community. If you watch the new, what is the new Fast and the Furious, the guy that's, what is the Aquaman? What's the guy?
Jason Momoa.
He's gay. Yeah, he's gay. In the movie, Fast and the Furious is gay. So guess what? So now people ask and say, well, I don't understand this stuff. Why are they doing this? Bud Light loses 25%. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light loses 25% of sales since they decided to team up with Dylan Mulvaney. Target, since they announced they have a trans section because of Pride Month, their stock dropped 12%. They lost $9 billion. Target lost $9 billion in a span of roughly 2 weeks.
Damn.
Their stock dropped. Why? So people say, well, these CEOs are idiots. They're morons. You should do this. They have no clue what they're doing. You should fire this person. That's not how this thing works. So the whole thing, you have to look at how this thing comes about. So UN, United Nations, comes out with something called PRI. Then PRI starts raising money from NGOs. NGOs are non-governmental organizations. So such as Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, all these other companies that are giving them money.
Right?
You got it.
Yeah, these special people that like to fund you.
But then these NGOs come out with this ESG score, and the ESG score, they have a couple different areas. One is called DEI, Diversity, Equity, Inclusive, and then they have the CEI. I think it's called Corporate Equity Index or something like that. Then there's an organization called HRC, Human Rights Committee, that is funded by Open Society Foundation. Open Society Foundation has been given $32 billion of money by one guy named George Soros. You know George Soros?
Oh, yeah.
Open Society Foundation is
boys.
George Soros' foundation. Since 1984, George Soros has given Open Society Foundation $32 billion of his own money. Not other people's money, his own money. So what does this have to do with anything? This thing, as you get deeper, it's even crazier. Do you know BlackRock? I don't know if you've heard of BlackRock, yes. Larry Fink. You know Vanguard, and you know State Street.
Yep.
Do you know how much money BlackRock has under management? Do you know the number of how much assets under management BlackRock has?
Yep.
If you were to take a wild guess, how much assets under management BlackRock has, what would you say that number is?
I'll say this. They're buying up like all the single family homes in the United States right now.
You're a smart guy. You're a sharp guy. What would you say that number is? How much you think they have assets under management?
AUM, assets under management.
What do you think it is?
Can I give a percentage of how much assets they have? Can I just give a percentage? I don't know the exact amount, but
what dollar amount you think would be a lot of money?
I'm a guess.
Look, I'll put it to you this way. Have you heard of Guggenheim that bought the Dodgers? They have $300 billion of assets under management. Oak Tree Capital Management that gave us, we worked with them before. They have $160 billion under management. Bain Capital, massive. They have $100 billion of assets under management. What do you think BlackRock has as assets under management?
I'm going to say between 500 to 600 billion then.
You ready? $11 trillion.
Wow.
Did you hear what I just said?
Oh,
11 trillion. By the way,
wow.
I swear to you, 10 and a half, $11 trillion. Do you know what the U.S. GDP was last year? 32 trillion.
Yeah.
So America as a business did 32 trillion last year. BlackRock has $11 trillion.
So now you understand these people are making so much money. They are giving millions like Skittles. What? Hey, you have to do million. You're doing what I'm saying, right? Hey, these people are special. But when you go to the World Economic Forum where they talk about this stuff, they have dangerous talking point, and I feel like they are punching without understanding the wave they're creating.
Vanguard and State Street combined have roughly a 10% stake to 15% stake on 88% of S&P 500 companies. Let me say that one more time.
Wow.
BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street collectively have roughly 10 to 15% of equity in nearly 88% of S&P 500 companies.
That's fucking crazy.
And
top 500 companies in the United States.
Top 500 companies in the United States. 24.9% of board seats are controlled by BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street.
That's why everybody is pandering, because they know they're fighting a big beast, and it's really hard to go against them. You can only be loud about your point of views, and hopefully people might listen. But sadly, they control the media too.
88% these guys. So what does this mean? Guess what they do? They control everything.
Yeah.
They control everything. So they get to tell the companies, if you want to borrow money from me, for example, let's just say your name is Dodgers. You're like, man, if we want to really give this guy a contract for $400 million over 10 years, let's go raise the money. All right. hey, can you give us some money here? No problem. BlackRock, here's $100 million. Bank of America, here's $100 million. Goldman Sachs, here's $200 million. Go offer this guy a $400 million contract, but your ESG score is low. What I need you to do is I need you at the Dodgers game to have a lesbian non-indulgence. I don't know if you guys saw the story or not. Have you guys seen this thing? What happened at Dodger Stadium?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, anyway, so this whole story comes out with there's an organization called Something of Indulgence where transgender men are out there and doing what they're doing because Dodgers has to increase their ESG score.
These are the people that probably are reading books to kids and all this other stuff. Same
That's
organization.
exactly
probably.
what it is. So again, the point with these guys, the money guys are imposing high ESG score. I'll give you this final thoughts for you guys to be thinking about how deep this is getting. You know what the top five highest ESG scores in America is? Number 5 is Bank of America. Number 4 is Salesforce. Number 3 is Microsoft. Number 2 is Intel. And number 1 is Alphabet. You know what are some of the companies with the worst ESG scores in America? Tesla, one of the worst.
Yep.
Tesla's fixing the environment, helping the environment to have one of the worst.
Yep.
Twitter's one of them.
Yep.
You got Xerox is one of them. AT&T is one of them. I can give you Fox Corporate is one of them.
Sure.
These companies who have low ESG scores, they're not controlled by those guys, but those guys don't give them a good score, so they have a hard time raising more money from other people. It's a mess
ESG
on what they're doing.
Look what this guy says about the World Economic Forum, where they go talk about how they need to guide the planet in the best direction.
I believe free markets actually help the workers more than what they're saying with stakeholder capital and ESG. I just want to understand, you don't think this is actually helping the workers then?
No, this isn't helping the workers at all. You got
because that's what they're arguing, that this is for them.
No, because you have Larry Fink at the top of this thing, right? You know, over there at BlackRock, they all own each other and they're all in coordination. Do you think anybody in these publicly traded companies have any vote or any say in this top-down? Larry Fink has made very clear. He was, of course, at the World Economic Forum just recently, talking to Aaron Sorkin and saying, we are going to force behaviors. We're going to force behaviors. That is what we are going to do. We're going to force behaviors. And he has said capitalism, in his view, this stakeholder capitalism, has the ability to essentially control people's behavior, right? Has the ability to shape the world, is what he said essentially. But what if we don't want the same shape of society that Larry Fink does?
I want to interject. Right? I want to interject on that. The idea that we should be shaping society, every time that's been tried in human history, it's ended with piles and piles of dead bodies.
Yes.
When they try, like, if you listen to Marx, he talked about new socialist man, that man is not ready for the socialist system. You have to remake man. Nietzsche did the same thing when he talked about the Übermensch, the overman. He believed that without God, man had to come up with his own new morality, and normal man, us, would not understand the overman's morality. And the overman isn't in any position or isn't obligated to explain to us. What they're trying to do is nothing new. Like the idea that we can reshape the world to prevent climate change, which I mean, there's a lot of problems that I have with the arguments for climate change. But the effort to remake humanity always ends with piles of dead bodies. The Nazis did it. The communists did it more than once. Pol Pot, 2 million people died in Cambodia. That was 20% of all of the people in Cambodia. There was 8 million people in Cambodia before Pol Pot. They killed 2 million people. Mao tried to change. Mao believed that the sparrows were a problem, and they weren't communist. So they were eating the seed, and so he told all the people in China, kill the sparrows. Don't let the sparrows land. And what happened was, because the sparrows were not there to eat the bugs ate all the crops, and there was a famine, and millions of people died. When you try to affect the whole world, when you try to change mankind, humans always screw it up, and it always ends in piles and piles and piles of dead bodies. This ESG stuff is aimed at affecting climate change. You talk about the stuff that was going on in, I think it was the Dutch farmers that were having the problem.
Yep.
That's because they wanted to limit how much they could produce. They want to limit how much you can use fossil fuels. All of our fertilizer is fossil fuel based. It's all petrochemicals.
Yes.
If you don't have fertilizers, then you're going to have famines. Millions and millions, if they are successful with in getting control of basically the markets, global markets, there will be millions and millions and millions and millions of people, probably 1 billion people, that will die of famine. This is not hyperbolic either. All you have to do is look at the 19th or look at the 20th century and see the death tolls that were a result of governments trying to reshape human nature.
And if you think about it, he's right. That's like they're reshaping, hey, you need to wear this. It will protect you from the cold. I'm like, bruh, it's summer. I'm sweating my ass off in Barcelona. It makes no sense. And I see these people with this talking point, and the only thing you can do is just always open your mouth. So people realize I'm not the only one thinking like that, and a lot of people just goes with the masses. All this weird stuff, as if you have to be happy with as little as possible, and I can understand them. I know what I mean. I think there was too much Mike Tyson that says when I was in prison, I was happy because I had no responsibility. I don't mind that. But that is not a world that I want to bring my kids and my family. That somebody at the top is deciding, I care about you, but you don't understand the effect that it has on people, the general people, that are supporting you to that power. And then suddenly you're going to be like, no, this is the best thing we can do about it. Hey, does your family have a black kid? I'm like, whoa. LGBTQ stuff that I see, I know I spoke a lot about it, but I see it more like a distraction for a different purpose. So that is the point of this video. You know, I don't want to make them too long, but I hope you get what I was trying to say. And let me know what you think. I really want to know. Like, share, hit the bell, bada beam, bam, boom. And see you guys in the next one. Peace. Oh, it's freaking hot, man. Woo!